Yo, what's going on, guys? Jared here. I am back again with Chris Lynn, who just finished. Did you get top 8 or top 16?
I got eighth place, but
Okay,
I
so
lost in top 32.
8th?
I
Wait,
got
what?
eighth in Swiss. I got
Oh,
eighth in
okay.
Swiss, and then I lost in top 32.
Okay, so you got top 32 at the Remote Duel YCS with Plunder Patrol, which you would already think is a weird enough deck, and then there is like the spiciest stuff in this Plunder Patrol deck. So I am super excited to show it to you guys and for Chris here to explain it and yeah, just show us the sauce, bro. This shit is
Yeah.
gooey.
So I guess if I'm just gonna, yeah, I guess I'll just start talking. Um, I at the beginning of the format, around when Ancient Fairy got unbanned, I remember thinking like, I'm gonna play Ancient Fairy no matter what I do, and I just didn't play it for a while. But there was someone in the OCG that actually posted specifically a Plunder Patrol video with Ancient Fairy, and then I saw it and I was like, this is it. And then I tested a little bit and expanded the combo some more. Um, but it all centers around Forest of Lost Flowers, which is based on a hidden effect on Water Enchantress. So Water Enchantress has an on-field effect that says if you control an adventure token, you can activate a field spell from your deck directly that mentions a adventure token,
Hmm.
which is what Forest of Lost Flowers is. Forest of Flowers basically doesn't have an effect. If an adventure token destroys something by battle, you can draw one, which seems like it would come up more than it does, but it really doesn't because you don't have to use your whole battle phase on that. It's not worth it. Um, but the effect is there for if you break or something. Um, and you can get to the field spell pretty consistently. Which just means if you don't open it, you can get out of your deck pretty much immediately, so you don't have to draw it later.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the explanation of the main thing that's going on here. After that, I guess I'll just start going over the deck itself. So one called by the grave. I just like it in general against a lot of decks. It kills Hieratic Seal immediately by itself. And then a couple other things. It's not great in some matchups. This deck doesn't lose to hand traps super hard, so it's not that important of a card to play in my deck. But I'm at 45, so it's a 45 card deck. Um, a little bit because Adventure has some cards you don't want to see all the time.
Hmm.
But I do want to go over the fact that like the majority of these cards, actually except for Forest of Lost Flowers, is relatively useful um drawn by itself. So you have Called by the Grave, Terraforming to get to these more the shipyards, Draco back, Faithful, Forest. These are the auto. Well, these are the auto includes. These two are just there.
Hmm.
Um, Magnamot, two Magnamots. I don't 100% trust for it to be good game one. The dragons that it searches are Druis Worm and Tiamaton. I'll explain Tiamaton later. Um, but it's a quick effect in the hand. So if you add it with Magma at the end phase and Magma creates three cards in a column, you can special summon it and pop like a backdoor or something at the end phase before they can use it. And 6 and 4 makes Chaos Angel, which is a tip for everyone else, but not me because I'm not running that. Um, Illegal Knight is better than Griffin Rider. Three Water Enchantress, three Rite of Aramasir, three Nibiru. Two Ghost Bell is a little bit of additional non-committing. This deck could have been 42 without these,
Hmm.
but I actually just want to be at 45 with Plunder Patrol. Not for I don't have a good hard reason for that, but I've been playing this deck for like 3 years now. And the experience kind of it used to run Destiny Heroes, and it forced me into 45 with Destiny Hero and Adventure at the same time. Um, and just kind of like getting a feel for the deck, I like it at 45.
Yeah, just over years of
There's
experience.
yeah, the deck pulls out of itself a lot. Like you get close to decking out at 45, so it's good for that.
Did you
Just
like
having more
Bell
options.
and I know like Nibiru, Bell, and Veiler, like you're playing a lot of hand traps. Like were they like good
Yeah,
today? Like because I know hand traps seem to be
these
taking in the
these
back
were
burner.
good. These were good. Bell, I never drew ever the whole time. I never drew or resolved the Bell. I either didn't see it against decks that it does nothing against and I sided them out, or I wanted to see it and I never saw it. That's my Bell experience. And
Okay.
one time I drew it and I normal summoned it. So it just never, and I'll explain why I normal summoned it later, but it just never came up and I don't know why. I don't know, honestly. It could actually turn into like a third Magnum and a Ball Drake or something. But
Hmm.
it's two bells for now. I like them.
Yeah.
Um, three shipyard, one booty. I know some people call booty. Booty's one of my favorite cards in this deck. Um, there's a lot of tricks with it, but beyond even the tricks, it's just called the haunted every single turn forever. Um, and that's a lot that I feel. This deck does want to approach a grinding state as much as possible. So, three Whitebeard, two Golden Hair, one of the fusion spell, one of the Eclipse spell. I think those are actually relatively normal. Two Bluebeard, two Redbeard, two Black Eyes. I think Redbeard people have been cutting down to one. I think that's a reaction to thinking the Plunder Patrol cards aren't good enough because there's things that you're not doing that you could be, I think, is my guess. But I would never cut two Redbeards. I have to resist the urge to put the third one back in all the time. You do
Mm.
brick if you open like both of them together. Ah, that's not true. The third one's the brick. That's why I did this. The third one is the brick. If you open two Redbeards, you're still technically playing Plunder Patrol. Um, three Blackbeards, three lists. I would cut the third list for something. I don't know exactly what yet. Um, Plunder Patrol used to have a theory before Yord came out, where when you're playing against a deck, you figure out pretty fast what your attribute pool is going to be for that game. Let's say the game goes for 6 turns. On all 6 of those turns, you need to draw a card with Blackbeard. In the majority of games, your pool of attributes is either two is between 1 and 2. Sometimes if it's 3, you're lucky. It's usually hovering around 2. They give you 2 attributes.
Hmm.
Between those 2 attributes they give you, you have to draw on all 6 of those turns, right? So you have to run 3 of every one. And so I saw people cutting 2 of them for like Bahamut Shark and stuff. But I think what was most important back then was making sure that you have an extra deck that lets you even if you're just wasting the draws, right? Just like making extra lists that don't matter or something.
Yeah, they're just free. It's just literally
Yeah, it's
free every
important,
turn.
yeah, to trigger it as much as possible.
Right.
And so you had to run them at 3 because if the pool was Fire Dark, you still need to summon all 3 Bulwarks and all 3 brands.
Hmm.
Um, now that Yord is out, I understand now that after testing it a lot more, that since you can expand the attribute pool literally whenever you want, even if with 2 of each one, you'll still draw every turn of the entire game, no matter what. So
Right.
this can go to 2 now. And I don't know what I'd replace it with. Um, one Almirage for when you open just a Golden Hair and 4 hand traps. Um, you can normal summon Golden Hair, make Almirage, bring back Golden Hair, make a Blackbeard. I
Still
think
play.
that's yeah. At this point, everyone knows about that. I think that's almost like full combo too, and I'll explain what I mean by full combo later. Because there is a full combo in this deck actually, but I don't think it's as good as the other one.
Right.
But Baron comes up with Magnemite a lot. And it comes up with these and level 3 tuners a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and it comes up a lot with like in like weird situations too, with like well, you know what? I guess it doesn't. That's what it is. It is those.
I mean, yeah, it's still
And
fine.
then yeah, that's what it is. And then Ancient Fairy Dragon. Um,
Main
Ancient
combo
Fairy
piece.
is what the main combo piece for what the Flowers of the Lost Flowers is. So I guess that's the deck. Here it is.
What were the two
And
spells
I
in the
could
bottom? Oh, I guess your top.
oh these two.
Yeah. There's emblem.
Yeah, this is Emblem and Plunder Patrol Ship Shape Ship Shipping, which is a name you should get used to saying because you say it a lot. Um, and it's very good. It's very, very, very good. This is one of my favorite cards in the entire deck. I search it pretty early as much as I can with Mower,
Hmm.
and get in at the grave as soon as possible. When you're doing like a clapback play, when you're like getting back in the game, because this deck does a thing where like you're not protecting anything, I guess is the one way to say it. So you'll make like cards and you'll have removals and interactions, but there's nothing you're protecting on the field that matters to you because everything that matters to you is either in the grave or in your hand or like even just like kind of implied in your deck, like a Magnemite Search or something.
Hmm.
So all you're really trying to do is live, but at the same time, like you're pulling away your opponent's resources a lot. So there's a very common game state where your opponent is like generating all these resources and damage and effects and stuff. All you're really doing is kind of picking at it so that they can't like fully generate something that beats your next turn. And then on your next turn you take everything.
Yeah,
And
you have
so
to
that'll
slowly
happen a
wither
lot
it
where
down.
yeah, where you're like doing that. And in situations like that, this card is out of control. And it's one of the ones that gets forgotten about a lot. People don't really remember that it's in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't.
Um,
Those are the ones I don't remember seeing being played too much, or if they were cut more recently
yeah.
lists.
No, it's another one of those times where I think it's one of those cards where if you draw it and you don't know what to do with it, you would think you'd want to cut it because this deck has a lot of very good game states. And I think a lot of people are used to playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you draw the good game state and you do it. Um, and knowing how to play this deck's bad game states kind of brought me to playing some of these cards that
Hmm.
I think get cut more often because people don't want to engage with those hands. They just want to say they bricked and move on.
Gotcha.
Whereas I don't
Yeah,
think this deck
I think
really,
that's a
yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh player thing in general, right? I think a lot
Mhm.
of people do that. They don't see like the optimal hand, and they're just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, and the lines you can pull off in this deck are very crazy, and I'll show some of them in a second. Let me
Yeah,
just show the side deck really quick because it's very very simple.
that's
Uh,
fine.
Yeah, 3 Droll, 3 Cosmic for Runic and for Labyrinth, etc., etc. Other matchups we forget about and then say, thank God I have Cosmic. 3 evenly matched, 3 Raigeki for Vanquish Soul, um, and also etc. And then 3 Lightning Storm, 2 Lightning Storm, and 1 Feather Dust.
I was about to say 3 Lightning
So yeah,
Storm. Whoa,
there it is.
hold up.
Yeah. It's basically 3 Lightning Storm. This is it. It's the ones where, because this is one of those decks where the main deck handles any problem ever.
Right.
As long as you start playing, the entire side deck is dedicated to just making the game state unreasonable.
Yeah, just try to make
In
it
your
easier for
favor.
yourself, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So there they are.
No,
The
that's
side
fair.
decking with this deck's actually pretty easy because you can side deck a lot of the cards out in going first once you know if you're going first or second.
Hmm.
Like Booty and Forest of Lost Flowers come out going second, for example, depending on the matchup. But that's the side deck. I guess I'll just show the full combo first.
Yeah,
Actually,
whatever I guess the quote unquote standard combo would be. I don't know
oh
if
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
Shipyard plus Enchantress seemed to be one that you were talking
Hmm.
about.
Yeah. So this deck is actually built around the concept of no matter what 5 cards you open, you can generate at least 3 interactions and on average 4 interactions.
If you're that
Um,
confident, feel free to just shuffle it and then just draw 5.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'll power shuffle while explaining that theory. Um, so I think it's very important with Plunder to understand that you're not going to kill them on the 3rd turn probably, and you're also not going to fully stop them on their turn either. Like they will never you want to let them you want to when they start playing, you want to figure out what their end board is going to be, and then try to figure out ways to pick apart at the ones you don't want to be there, and let
Hmm.
them have the rest of it. Um, it's actually super important to let them have some things. That it's way more important to do that than it is to try to stop them fully.
Yes.
So the important thing is to build. You're basically building their board with them, and you're building a board together that is good enough for you to beat. Is basically how you have to think about it.
Hmm.
I think. I mean, that's how I think you have to think of it. Let me just draw 5 cards, see if I shuffled at all. And
Oh my
this is
god.
relative. This is what I call full combo. So, as I was explaining before, every hand generates 4 interactions. And so the reason why I like this deck so much is that these cards are already interactions. If you normal summon this card, your opponent is pretty sure you have a plundered patrol card in hand, right? And you just play that way the entire time. And because they played that way, your Nibiru will land better than normal. So that's an important thing to recognize too. There's additional interactions where if you activate Redbeard and you chain Nibiru,
Hmm.
Redbeard does not have to be on the field to resolve. So the Nibiru will tribute everything, and then the Redbeard will trigger still, and it can summon like Mowork or something. Redbeard then triggers in Graveyard to equip to something, so now the Mowork is on, and they still have to keep playing like it's on. You just
Right.
never tell them it's not, because this card will just be in my hand the whole time, and they'll just be like, "Why is he using it?" Eventually, they'll out it after going way out of their way for no reason, and you'll have asked some nonsense, and then you'll just draw any card, and yep, they're dead. So it just doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like
I
you have to play this.
I love that. I love that. It was just like, yeah, every card's pretty much you can play with until except for the flowers. And like the first
Yeah, I
card
just
was
opened
the
it immediately. Yeah. That's
flowers.
normal too. And the flowers isn't even that bad, but that one, that time it was it could have been better.
Oh my god.
Here's another hand, which is, oh, there it is. I love it. Oh, it's broken. Oh, it's broken. Ooh, I can just show you the combo out of this hand. That was lucky. Uh, okay. So the first thing I want to say, pretend this is an Ash. Um, what I consider full combo is normal summon Whitebeard. Because in the process of converting your hand into 4 interactions, you usually have to do a little bit of summoning and comboing, right? Um, but if you look at your hand and you say normal summon Whitebeard is 4 interactions, that is ideal because in every other combo you create scenarios where you lose to Ash, you lose to Droll, you lose to Veiler, right?
Hmm.
You like fall into certain things on the way there. The only combo almost in the entire game that generates 4 interactions in a way where your opponent has no input at all into you getting there is normal summon Whitebeard. And from here, almost nothing can interact with you, right? Because Whitebeard, if Whitebeard leaves the field at all, it goes to grave at all. It'll summon a Redbeard from your deck that can also summon from the extra deck. So at this point, they have to deal with this fact. And then if they remove it from the field, they have to deal with it again. And
Hmm.
so at this point, it's almost technically 5 interactions, but you don't really think of it that way. You just think of it as an interaction that they can't Dark Hole or Raigeki or any. They just have to let you do it at some point.
Right.
Um, and then you have 3 handcuffs in your hand. Um, so I almost would prefer to see an Asher because if you normal summon this, it's just like, what are you going to freaking do? Um, once you start doing the combo, like say I like activate this and they ash me, that's when I start to get like, uh-oh. But at the same time, that's already an interaction anyways, because you took one of their cards, right?
Right.
So this deck also, because it's you're aiming for 4 interactions usually, this deck has that problem. The imperfect part of it is that with 4 interactions, you're asking your opponent not to have 2 perfect cards at the end.
Hmm.
Um, most hands only create 4 pushes in the first place. When their hand's good enough to make 5 or 6, you get really sad. That happens here and there. Sometimes usually people mess it up, right? So your opponent has to be good enough to identify how to use their hand as 6, 8, I guess.
Yeah, like 5 or 6
Um,
like pushes to get through everything.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to assemble those. Usually even if they have it, they kind of only make 4 anyways.
Hmm.
Uh, and they have to know what your cards do too for to even plan that far ahead. But the main combo in this deck is these 2 cards.
Okay.
So this combo is just a billion cards on its own. Let's say I didn't use this, even though it's the same combo without it. It's just more cards for flavor. If you activate Rite of Aramis here, you summon my ulti token, and then get Maple Adventure. Um, normal summon Whitebeard, and then use Faithful Adventure to get a Draco back. Something that I want to talk about, actually, I'll say it later. Faithful Adventure, search a monster. You don't need to get Griffin Rider in this deck almost ever. At some points I consider cutting it, but it comes up in like grind games, but it should never be the first one you search, I think. Unless, I mean, there's matchups where it is.
Right.
Draco back, effect to equip. But if you look at this field from this position, there's nowhere to really Nibiru you, right? Because if they Nibiru the Whitebeard, I mean, they can't Nibiru yet, but if you left this up and they Nibiru'd you,
Just triggers, right?
it would just summon a Plunder anyways. Yeah, so with the Nibiru token, you're always just going to make Blackbeard. Oh, and then Inventor Enchantress effect. So Enchantress activates the field spell directly from deck because I control an Adventure token.
That's so cool.
So
The fact that
activate
there's a
Wild Flowers.
line. I didn't even know that that effect
Yeah.
existed. What like, you blew my mind. I had to look up the text because I thought you were
Oh,
lying.
me too. When I saw we'd already been playing with these cards for like a year when I saw that video and I was like, no way she says that.
Yes.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how we all didn't read it together. You just make Ancient Fairy right there. Trigger Whitebeard to summon from deck. And then you summon Golden Hair, and once again they can't Nibiru you because you can bring back the Golden Hair and make Blackbeard, and then make lists. So you almost want them to Nibiru you in a little bit because it kind of puts you in a better place, anyways.
I mean, Nibiru is also not popular right now. I would say I never got Nibiru'd.
Yeah. In the past, there used to be, well, before the Ancient Fairy was back, you almost were like waiting for the Nibiru you a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Because you needed an attribute. So before Yord, you were almost just trying to do enough stuff that made it seem like you should get Nibiru so that you could freaking use Blackbeard on turn 1. And then you can use Enchantress to add the Rite of Aramis here. If you didn't do that to start this combo. And then you can use Ancient Fairy to turn this into Shipyard. And then you are up 1,000, which is important. Sometimes, if you need an option going into game 3. It's not a reliable time option because you have to draw the adventure package, but it's there. From here you can go synchro summon for Yord. And so this is the point where if you have extenders, you modify, but just as a simple version of the combo.
Right.
You make Yord. Yord targets a Plunder Patrol monster in your graveyard, adds it back, and then puts a Plunder Patrol card in your graveyard, add it back, then puts this up in your scale. And then Yord effect in the scale to make 2 tokens, give 1 to each player, and declare of any attribute you want. So you usually declare light. By matchup, sometimes you'll change it up. And then from there, you just make Blackbeard immediately. And then you can use Blackbeard to make lists. And then you draw a card. Yeah, here you are. And then this can summon this back. And on your opponent's turn, you'll draw again. So you're already back to 5 cards again. And that was a 2-card combo. You have the negation, you have this. Your opponent has a token, so they have to deal with that. If they're playing Castro, you just make a second list so they can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you know you're playing Castro, you call Dark, so you have a Moog, so you can banish the other monster when they try to make Dagger.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah. But and then it would just be like this. There would be no, it'd just be like that. But regardless, yeah, it's a lot of cards. Oh my god, it was Tiamaton. I was just about to say. So something you do in this deck is that even with Tiamaton, I should just read it out loud. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by the following effect. If 3 or more cards are in the same column, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only use this effect of Iron Dragon Tiamaton once per turn. If this card is special summon, destroy all other cards in this card's column. Neither player can use the unused zones in this card's column. So Tiamaton has a large number of uses. And because it's searchable by Magnamut now, it kind of has this spot where you are trying to think of. It's almost the thing I'm thinking about the most, even when I don't have it. I'm
Hmm.
always thinking about like, where would I slot a Tiamaton if I could during this game, and trying to plan ahead because it's the only thing you control and it's free to control.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I had placed my things here, that's 3 cards in a column, right? So you give them the token somewhere, then you put the 2 things in that same column. And
Hmm.
then if you just happen to draw Tiamaton there, you're set up. And so you want to spend all your time making sure that you're doing that. Um, that's something I still mess up a lot too, because it's one of those things where you have to think about it when you shouldn't be thinking about it.
You're
And then
re-
so
you're
there'll be times where,
you're really
yeah,
wanting me to
you'll
play Tiamaton.
well you'll draw Tiamaton and then look back in time and be like, if I had just put the Faithful Adventure in a different zone, I killed him right here, you know. And
Right.
so like once you get used to feeling that way, you can start to really consider it all the time.
I think the most
Um,
impactful part of Tiamaton that that I feel like is being you're like glossing over a little bit is the extra deck interaction, like the extra monster zone interaction.
yeah, so
I think
yeah,
it's the
because
most
it
important,
lots its zones
impactful
out.
thing. Like you just blow
Yeah, yeah,
somebody out
yeah.
with this card.
So in my feature match, I blew out, and they didn't say why it worked in the feature match, but in the feature match, I had like a red beard on the field, and I set up a situation where I had a red beard on the field and Tiamaton live because he had just had so many cards at that point that Tiamaton was like, well, we both had so many cards at that point. It was fully live. It was like activate Whitebeard shaming to Tiamaton, and
Hmm.
I put the Tiamaton here, and then resolved the Whitebeard to summon Redbeard. Um, and then used Redbeard to make Bran, which has just happened to be the only attribute Plunder Patrol monster I had not activated already, so I just went with that one. But I put it up here because you can't use unused zones in this card's column. He can't link summon anymore, and he was playing Ad Ignister, so he just freaking set on fire. And I think he thought he summoned a couple more times under this to regular monster zones,
Hmm.
and then he tried to summon to the main monster zone in front of this, and I said, you can't do that because of Tiamaton. You can't use unused zones in this card's column. He said, oh, sorry, and moved it. And then he said, wait, can I use the EMZ? And I said, no. And he said, I'll scoop. And the what's it called? They didn't explain why he scooped in the feature match. They just said like he had too many cards and he had no further options, so he scooped. But it is the Tiamaton that really locked him out of the game. Um,
How
sometimes you
big?
open Magnemut.
What's the stats on Tiamaton?
Oh, 2K0.
Oh, he's big. Okay.
Yeah, he's big. That comes up a lot too. Battle phase stuff with him comes up a lot. And sometimes you open Magnemut and like a Dark Monster, or sometimes you use Faithful Adventure to add a Legal Knight and then just discard the Illegal Knight so you have a Dark Monster for the Magnemut.
Hmm.
Because if you make a Baron and then put something up here and then add the Tiamaton, there's a lot of decks where doing that's just the end. Um, so you can do that too on purpose a lot. So you have that going on. Um, another thing,
That's gotta be my favorite
yeah,
interaction is Tiamaton with Magnemite.
yeah, yeah.
That's so
Tiamaton
cool.
Magnemut stuff is so crazy because you'll do it multiple times too. Like the second Magnemut will like add it back, or if you open Tiamaton Magnemut, you can like use it, discard it, then bring it back again.
Hmm.
Um, doing multiple Magnemut Tiamatons is my favorite, and this deck is very good at abusing the Tiamaton. So that's generally how the deck works. I think that. Oh, I'm starting to blank now. Was there anything else I wanted to say? The issue is that I've played Plunder a long time, and a lot of people have been playing a lot of Plunder for a long time. So it's hard to say if there's really any more to say than that's not like little tricks here and there.
Yeah, I know it's a deck that has a lot of
Actually,
small interactions and stuff.
yeah, a lot, a lot, a lot. Actually, if you play Plunder Patrol or have had interest in the past, you've probably joined the Facebook group for Plunder Patrol. If you were in the Facebook group for Plunder Patrol last year, um, I posted like after I won my first regional with this deck. After that, I was talking to some people in the Facebook group, and I noticed how many interactions this deck has that people don't fully understand. So I typed up almost everyone I know and posted them. It's like a very long essay. It was like just like a bullet point list of like every interaction I could think of.
You're the
So
most
if you're in the Plunder
dedicated
Patrol
Plunder
group,
Patrol player I've ever seen.
if you're in the Plunder Patrol group, you've either seen that or you can go and see that and treat that as this deck profile, I guess.
I
That's
I don't
that's
think
up there.
I'm in very few specific like deck
I'm in a
discords
bunch of them.
and Facebook groups and stuff.
I'm
I
in the
know
ones
there's
for the decks I like.
I know there's a lot of really good information in a lot of them, but
There is. Oh, I'm in the Exo Sister one. Yo, somebody posted the craziest combo this morning. Should I just say it? Should I say an Exo Sister combo I saw on Facebook this morning
Sure, throw it in.
during my Plunder? Yeah, during my Plunder deck profile. So if you go normal summon Alistair, add invocation, you can activate
Shadows Light. Shadows Light. Yeah, I saw this.
Light, and you summon Martha from your deck. Martha triggers when anything leaves the grave at all. So you can use the Shadows Light to give yourself a second normal summon, and that triggers the Martha to become Nicholas, or not even Nicholas, the other one. And then that one can add the Ellis, which can special summon itself because you have the Nicholas. So you can overlay for the other one, then add the other card, and then you can just make the rank 8. But then because you still have your normal summon, you can go make you can make the
Mechaba?
The Mechaba. You can make the Mechaba and then add back in the Alistair, and you can just summon the Alistair again. And you just get back the invocation, and then you have like 2 billion cards and like 3. It's very cool. I like that combo a lot.
That was neat. That is a fucking and that's just Alistair cool Shadows Light. That's such a random combo.
Yeah, it's such a random combo, but they're all those cards. It makes sense that they're in there.
You imagine being like, yeah, let me show you my Exo Sister combo. All right, what are the starting cards? Shadows Light, Alistair. Wait, what?
It's so cool, man. I love being in those groups. And there's cool stuff in the Plunder group too. There's combos. The combo I played at Nationals last year, I got because of the Plunder Facebook group. Like the thing that made me the happiest when I posted that long list of bullet points is that not only do I think a bunch of people read it, but other people started commenting their own lists, and a bunch of it has stuff I didn't know either.
See, that's cool. Like when people come together and make something like better and better and better.
And it just kept getting out of control, and just knowing all of those is super important to this deck.
Yeah.
Here's one that I think a lot of people don't know. This is the first one I always think of when people ask me about ones that I don't, if they know or not. If you have a field spell in the graveyard, it says target a Plunder Patrol card in your spell or trap zone, set this card, and if you do, return that target to the hand. If you play Plunder Patrol, one of the biggest things you have to know is that whenever something moves from here to here, it becomes a completely new card.
Right.
So if you target this with the field spell engrave, and then your opponent, or I guess it doesn't matter what they do. This has a quick effect during the main phase to special summon a Plunder from your hand or spell or trap zone. So you can go Chain Link 1 target, Chain Link 2 summon. This will summon out, this will go back, and you'll just won't bounce anything.
Yeah, resolve as much as possible still. It just free value for nothing.
And I see people miss that one a lot too, and that one's like super important because it gets you so much. There's a bunch of other weird ones. Blackbeard, for example, I think a lot of the lines people take, they don't think about Blackbeard as basically Forbidden Lance almost. But if you can make a Blackbeard before you start playing around the Blackbeard, it gets really crazy. Because you can move stuff out of the way. So like in the past with like DPE, there were times where you go like activate DPE, and then your opponent would like Veiler or something, you would chain Blackbeard, target the DP, and move into the spell or trap zone where it becomes a new card. And then it's still, you draw a card, you make your thing, it still resolves in the spell or trap zone. Then the DP popping the DP in your spell or trap zone still triggers it too. So you just fully dodge stuff all the time.
I would be so mad.
Decks, like,
I would be so mad.
Oh, I've done that a lot of times. Yeah, I've done that one a million times. And I think one of the biggest ones is against decks that are supposed to be bad matchups. In the past with Mystic Mine, or not Mystic Mine, but like if they have a goes in and you imperm it, I'm not running imperm today, but like if you have like a goes in and you imperm, you need to get rid of the goes in that turn. Or like, those decks where they create one problem and you can out it, but they probably have a Veiler. You should make Blackbeard and then make the thing to clear the problem before, right? Just so you know that it will go through. And you can just say like, I know this will work.
Yeah.
As opposed to like trying a bunch of little things. Sometimes you do have to just throw your whole hand into one field that like if you know what your opponent has, right?
I mean, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
So are you going to
Draco back? I said Draco back is always good. If you make Yord and it makes the 2 tokens, you can Draco back with the token.
Oh, you can put the Draco back on the token.
Yeah, right? And it bounces something. And that comes up a lot. That comes up like a crazy. You'll just draw just Draco back and be like, this is gonna be good. I can't wait for this to be good.
That's pretty degenerate, the fact that works that way.
Yeah, so the deck now has full interaction with the Adventurer engine, like all of them, all of the cards.
That's
a Legal Knight. A Legal Knight you should always keep in your hand. I think that one's kind of obvious. Just don't get Dark Ruler for no reason. Just put it in your hand and pass,
Yeah.
Summon it on their turn. Yeah.
Do you are you going to Nationals?
I am going to Nationals. I don't know what I'm playing, but it's probably gonna be this if I can't think of anything else. With a couple changes.
That's fair. Well, once again, congratulations for getting top 32 with Plunder. I believe there's not many people who have made that accomplishment.
That's true. I guess that's true. There's that Douglas the Bad guy who topped a billion times.
Yeah, just like a select few people that I know
Douglas. Yeah.
that do well with Plunder. So
Yeah.
big congratulations, and we will see you at Nationals, and hopefully you do well. But again, thank you. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you at Nationals. Bye, guys.
See you there.